Hi, this is Chris Lesso, and I'm going to share with you today 4 key points what I've learned from Steve Smith. And what a fantastic drummer, always in pursuit of excellence, and he's really impacted me for many years. He's been one of my favorite drummers for a long time, and I'm going to share with you 4 key points today, but this really could be 50 or 100 points because he just continues to be inspiring. He's on a huge tour with Journey right now. I think it's a 2-year tour. This is amazing that he's getting better as he ages. I think one of the first things, and that he's really known for this, is effortless technique. Effortless technique. And technique is really how you do something. So it's really the study of movement. And if you watch Steve Smith in the 80s compared to now, it's just almost like night and day, like 2 different drummers. And Steve had a great quote that I recently read. He said when he was originally in Journey, he left playing drums like Hulk Hogan, and he came back in Journey 33 years later like Bruce Lee. So he left as Hulk Hogan, came back as Bruce Lee. And this is really, if you watch back-to-back performances from the 80s with Journey and 2016 with Journey, the difference is huge. So if you look at the difference in playing styles from the early 1980s to now, it's almost like night and day. You can really see the almost hitting and playing into the drums versus now, which is playing off the drums and pulling the sound out of the drums and really playing with a lot less effort, yet making the drum sound huge and bigger. It's a concept that I've also seen in John Bonham. Is as he got older, his sound got bigger, but yet he played with less effort. So it's a thing that happens the more you study effortless technique. One of the key takeaways from Steve Smith. The second is the title of one of his DVDs, Standing on the Shoulders of Giants. And I love this concept. When you study the great players or the greats of any craft, you maybe start by imitate them. And one cool thing that Steve does is he really transcribes and gets really into the weeds and the details of what all these great drummers do and what makes them tick. And what first starts off as imitation gradually leads to, ironically, more of your self-expression. And you would think by imitating, you're losing yourself, but actually by imitating at first and developing a strong foundation, you can actually bring out more of your personality onto your instrument. The next concept is deliberate practice. Deliberate, focused practice. And there's a great book by Malcolm Gladwell called Outliers, which goes into the concept of 10,000 focused hours into your craft. Also Anders Ericsson, there's another book called The Talent Code. This just basically all talk about the concept of focus into what you're doing and deliberate practice. And I think Steve is one of the best practicers out there. There's a great story from the drummer Stanton Moore, and I think Stanton was on the same drum festival as Steve, and he dropped by his hotel room to see what he was doing and to say hello, and there was Steve practicing on the ironing board in the hotel room with a pair of brushes. So he made this kind of practice station and this little drum set out of an ironing board that you find in most hotel rooms. I love that. How is there an excuse not to practice when you see one of the greats and he is practicing when he could be relaxing? So I love that. Deliberate, focused practice. The last point is the eternal student. I love this concept about Steve. And if you look at Steve starting to learn Indian rhythms, even late in his career, at that point he might have said, I'm pretty successful, I've learned enough, I'm gonna just coast on my success. That is not Steve Smith. He is the eternal student. And I think I'm gonna be the guy that's 96, 97 years young at the back of drum events and the back of drum clinics, putting my hand up and asking questions, always trying to learn. And when I played the Sonar Drum Fest with Steve, I can remember working on this pattern during sound check, and that was when Steve came to do his sound check just after mine. And as I was playing this pattern, he kind of perked his head up and he was really interested in it, and he came over and just checked it out. So he's got a very curious mind, and I think that's one of the greatest qualities of learning, is keeping a beginner's mind, not a master's mind. The greatest masters in the world think like beginners. They never look at themselves as masters. So it's being the eternal student. So these 4 concepts from Steve have really impacted me as a player, and also how Steve is as a person, always in pursuit of excellence, always getting better. He continues to inspire me. And remember, the type of person we are is also the type of artists we are, and drummers, or whatever it is we do. So we want to work on ourselves as people as much as our craft. My name's Chris Lesso. I hope you enjoyed these takeaways from Steve Smith. So please go to my website, chrislesso.com, to see all the latest news and all the content that I'm putting out. I look forward to seeing you at the next event, or the next show, or the next blog. Study Steve and all the greats, and have fun being inspired.